Compliance risk is much broader today. It's a real challenge in the financial services industry. We see impacts much greater, and we see our clients taking a lot different approach to managing this risk. One of the things that's driving this is now the source of compliance risk is a lot different than it used to be. We see customer interactions, products and channels all coming into play, and where these things meet is really driving a whole new source of risk, which is really hard for our clients to get a handle on. And so because of that, we see clients taking a lot different approach to how they're managing this risk. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of those challenges?
I think there's a few things that we see when we look at our clients and the way that they're addressing or dealing with this situation. I think a lot of compliance functions and what second line of defense function more generally have a real issue with this new environment. In one way, they're not resourced to deal with it. We have an inflation of new compliance requirements. We have a greater complexity than we've ever seen before in the regulatory space. And frankly, management has an increased need for information and for really transparency into what's going on. So this creates a real challenge for second line of defense functions. Number one, in terms of talent. Number two, in terms of the tools and technologies that are available to the second line of defense function. And I think three, the ability to produce the right visibility into the actual issues that exist.
For instance, compliance departments now, second line of defense, are not only responsible for keeping track of laws and regulations, they're now also responsible for monitoring and testing the controls that exist in the business. And that's a completely new frontier that requires that banks have the ability to put a risk assessment program in place and put monitoring and testing in place, which is a new frontier. And if you think about the skill set that goes into doing monitoring and testing, it's different than the traditional kind of legal and regulatory background that you'd expect to see from a traditional compliance department of years past.
We really see people have to understand operations, they have to understand customer experience, and they really need to come together and work on this issue. And that's really one of the things we see as being successful that we've been supporting and helping our clients with. And then analytics is a whole area that's really important too, and our clients are really trying to really leverage that.
Traditionally, as we just discussed, compliance is done in a passive way, reactive way. And we say analytics can really help organizations to take a proactive and integrated approach. So analytics will take the first step of integrating the multiple sources of data together, create one version of a truth, versus if you read the one version of a compliance report from another version, and that means you can now leverage insights from multiple sources, from operations, from marketing, from sales, from channels, from products, and really looking at things proactively on a real-time basis.
As a second line of defense, that monitoring and testing component that I spoke about earlier being an expectation, how do you monitor and test ultimately every interaction that a customer service representative has with a customer?
That's right.
It's very, very challenging. And so to design that framework and then to think about how do I go about testing to make sure that our customers are having a good experience and are getting the right advice and their complaints are being handled appropriately. It is a real challenge, and we see that a lot of times the organizations aren't equipped, getting back to your talent issue, with the right talent to be able to really hone in to root cause issues, to really hone in on what's a process or a policy versus what's an actual control.
Let's talk a little bit about the lean principles and how we could use those to take away some things that maybe aren't creating value.
What we see works well in the lean principle is right to left approach, meaning, right, what are the key risk areas? What are the business objectives or organizational objectives we really want to achieve? And what are priorities of that? And use those priorities and objectives to drive what analysis, what rules, procedures we want to introduce.
We think there's value in each of the things we talked about today, and we do see clients working on each of these, whether it's risk integration and better process risk assessments, or it's testing, analytics. But we also think there's a better opportunity to really create a comprehensive plan and have a comprehensive business case that really you can get the whole enterprise behind and management behind to support you. So we think having a holistic plan that pulls all these together is really where the greatest opportunity lies.